Hey, what's up guys? This is part 5 of our Izotope Ozone 5 tutorial course, class, webinar, whatever you want to call it. We're going to be mixing, or not going to be mixing, we're going to be mastering 2 tracks. This is the second day, to simply give our ears a break. And I recommend that you don't mix and master in the same day, and don't master and then think you're done in the same day. Always review it the next day after your ears have had a good sleep, and that way you're not tricking yourself. Sometimes that happens. It happens to like basically every engineer ever. Sometimes you'll make a master that you think sounds awesome, and it sounds really cool and bright and all that fun stuff, and then the next day you realize, oh, it sounds like ass. But sometimes you make something, you're mixing and you're frustrated, you're pulling your hair out, and you think, oh, this sounds terrible, a failure, and then you listen to it the next day and it sounds awesome. And I think this is one of those instances. I'll give you an example here. That's without, and it sounds kind of, it's missing a bit, and then I turn it on, and then it sounds awesome. So, well, in my humble opinion. So we're going to be going over, a few more aspects with a techno track, or a minimal, or whatever you want to call it. Probably techno. Right, and generally, what I'll do is I'll set up a compressor to begin with. So I'll just drop in this dynamics guy. I will remove our bands. Remove band, and yeah, maybe I'll just leave this in there. Actually, no, I should. Yeah, I'll remove this band here. So we have basically a compressor. That is a single band compressor, like conventional, what you'd run into, and we'll just kind of smooth out the dynamics and transients and all that fun stuff. So I'm going to set it to 4:1, which is like a traditional ratio for what we're trying to do here. And yeah, I'll just take a look here. I have to actually turn it up. I'm going to play around with the attack. I'm going to set it to absolute 0 to see what kind of goes on here. But I want a bit of punchiness. Look at my histogram here just to see what the attack and the release is doing. Yeah, I want to increase the attack a bit more, just so those fun bits poke through. And I want to get more movement in the compressor, so I'll use the release. We'll use a bit of a more gentler ratio. So this green line right here shows our gain reduction, and the goal here is just to glue everything together and make the compressor musical. I like to make my compressors do musical things, so the release is timed and it goes around there. Yeah, so with that being said, I'll just drop in another one just for ease, and this will be our multiband kind of leveling, and we'll check out each band and see what's going on here. So I'll solo the low end. So I'm adjusting the limiter and the threshold. Or this is the limiter and this is the threshold. So I want a very, very brick wally around here. And for low end, just use a slower attack. Right, you want it to have, you know, movement. Right, a bit more release. Right, and that should kind of level it out more or less, and we'll listen to it in conjunction with the rest of the track so it's in a context. Right, we have our punchiness area here, so I'll just give it, again, a nice gentle kind of compression. 2-to-1, not a bad idea, and I'll see what the attack's doing. So there's a lot of movement here. And I'll have to kind of do the same thing here. I'll use even more of a gentler compression ratio. I'm using a fast attack just because. I'll move the knee up a bit. So with a fast attack, this is kind of acting like a compressor. So I wanted to have a lot of movement, but you know, I want the transients to be a bit more tame. So what I'm doing is I have the attack set to 0, so it's acting as like a squisher. Think a bit of squishing. Because I want like the punchiness and the dynamicness to come through here. Then we'll bypass and then unbypass. Maybe there's a little bit too much bass reduction. And let's see what's going on in our hissy fit. Yeah, again, you know, why not? We might as well. Gonna create a lot of movement. So we have a lot of movement now. The track sounds a bit more dynamic, or not so much more dynamic, but it sounds like one cohesive mix. So we have our first compressor, which is a single band, so like a conventional compressor, creating lots of movement. And then we have our little guys just taming each kind of guy here. So less is more, but what we're doing is we're just taming everything as a whole, right? So I'm going to open up our ozone here, and I'm going to see what kind of color I can add. We're boosting bass, not by much, by like a decibel, but we can because, You know, we've kind of tamed like the fluctuations in that low end with our multiband compression, right? So now we can bring the volume up and it's perceivably louder. Right, so I'm going to change around my graph just to show how flexible this is. I'm going to bring the second EQ right after this one, right? Yep, that's what I'll do. A second EQ, so this is our post equalizer. So an EQ going into an EQ, I want this to be digital, and I want this to be, whatchamacallit? Oh yeah, here we go. Mid side, right? So mid inside. So this is a good way to kind of clean up. Once again, you can kind of clean up everything. So this is the stereo image. So it's taking what's separate from the left and right, and it's taking what's similar from the left and right, and then taking that all away. So with this, we have what our stereo image kind of looks like. And it's always good to like just to hear what it sounds like, so you prime your ears. Right, and we're in a digital EQ mode, so it's nice and linear. All right, so I'm gonna go our side material. I'm just gonna take out the side material from the low end. Usually it sounds like completely mono. Not too fun. But we'll take away the side material from the low end, which you can't really hear anyway, and it's not that important. So it's more of a high pass filter. And I'm gonna boost these guys. No, not with that shelf. What am I doing? Am I high? Right, so you're pushing the stereo image out. So a lot of energy in the stereo width, and it's sometimes good to do it this way. So you have more headroom with the mid-range. If that makes any sense? So when you widen the stereo image, or you boost the stereo image of the side material, it sounds louder. The percussion-y elements anyway. We'll go that. We'll just boost it slightly here, and then we'll see what we can take away from the mid. Just give us more headroom and give us more of a stereo balance. It's always good to turn it on and off. Alright. We'll go back to our side. Alright. We'll go back to our mid, see what else we can take away. It's a little too much, who knows? Yep, alright, so yeah, with that done, let's see if we can boost the bass just a bit more, just because this is techno. The hell? Mid. There we go. Alright, we got some bass going on. We've already done dynamics. Let's see what each stereo band sounds like with its side material enabled. Nice and splashy. Right, nice and wide. We'll bring this down a tiny bit. And for the bass, of course, that's very narrow. We'll just make it a bit more narrow. We'll bring down the width. Summing is always good. If it sounds good in mono, it'll sound. It basically means you're getting no like phase cancellations. Right, you can get away with a lot more with like really wide material. So let's drop in an exciter. See what we have here. Right, cool. So now what we need to do is we need to add an EQ. Simply because of our layout, we need to have a bit. We need to have a cut at the end of the post-mastering stage, which we'll do. I'll just open this up. It's digital, and I want a high-pass brick wall, just to kind of roll off everything below 30. Because we boosted so much and who knows what's going on that low end, just to be safe. And then 8, I will go low pass brick wall. Right, that might be a little too much. So serial EQing, just like serial killing, is okay. That was a joke. I'm just joking. There's nothing wrong with adding things and taking away. Each kind of EQ adds a flavor, and there's nothing wrong with using EQs in parallel. So we have we have a compressor, a dynamics, or multiband dynamics processor. What else we have? We have 2 EQs, analog to add color, and then digital to add, more fun things. Stereo imaging, yep. And some slight harmonic excitation. So now I'll just drop in, I guess, a maximizer, just to kind of boost the volume. And we're gonna look at our RMS. We want our RMS to be about 8. That's the standard. And yeah, we got not a lot of squishy dynamics going on. Sounds good in the club. Yo. We have nice transients. Yeah, so that's basically it. I'll just solo. I won't solo. I'll turn these all on in succession so you can see what it sounds like. We're missing a little bit of that mid-range, so I'll go over here, and it's just as simple as adding this in. Narrow as you can, get away with. Usually you want a wide narrow, or a wide band, but we're in the digital domain, so we'll just use, Hooray! Alright, hope you learned stuff. I'm going to be doing the other one, which will be a bit more challenging, a bit more repairing, but that is basically you know, a 20-minute quick master. By no means, you should spend a bit more time doing this, but it's just a quick master for educational purposes. All right, I gotta go. Take care, and I'll be back.